Hello everybody, today I'm watching Why British Cities Make No Sense by Mapmen. Honestly, I tried to look at a map of London once and I still don't know how big London actually is. So maybe this will help to explain it. Let's see.
How would you define a city?
It's what you do on a cherry.
What?
How would you define a city?
An inhabited place of greater size, population or importance than a town or village.
That's better, but wrong.
Welcome to Welcome to Mapmen.
We're the men.
And here's the map.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's multiple different definitions for what a city is.
Not Britain, the definition of city is reasonably reasonable.
In Japan, a city is any settlement with more than 50,000 people. In the USA, a city is anywhere with its own incorporated government.
But Britain, as
So
per
yeah,
usual,
every
has its own special
place
way
has
of
a
doing
different
things.
definition for a city.
Here is a map of all
As per usual, has its own special way of doing things.
Here is a map of all 76 places in the UK that are officially classed as cities. The usual ones you've heard of are there: Liverpool, Manchester, Bradford, Leeds, and so on.
But among them are some surprising and seemingly unworthy cities. Ely with just 20,000 people, Ripon with just 16,000 people, and St David's with less than 1,500 people. Barely
Less than
enough for a flash mob.
1,500?
And oppositely, there are some very notable places that are mysteriously not on this map. Where's Reading? Or Northampton? Or Bournemouth?
The most surprising omission from this list is none other than London. Britain's capital city is technically not a city.
Although, confusingly, Greater London contains within it the City of
What?
Westminster and the tiny, confusingly named City of London, which is not the same as London.
So what's
my
going
God.
on? If British cityness is clearly nothing
Why
to
do
do
the
with
British
size,
have to
then
complicate
what is the
things so
criteria?
much?
What makes a British city a city?
I think I know this one.
I think you don't.
It's something to do with cheese.
Let's deal with some common misconceptions.
Jeez.
Cathedral. Contrary to popular wrongness, city status in the UK has nothing to do with having a cathedral,
There are 12 cities without a cathedral of any kind.
and 32 non-cities with a cathedral of any kind.
Yay. University. Another common assumption is that you can't spell university without city. But just as with cathedrals, there are multiple examples proving that
yeah,
this is not the
you
case,
can't.
including 17 UK cities that do not have universities. Can you name 3?
Hard Knocks Cooper Jones.
Ripon, Wakefield and St Asaph.
Correct, and for a bonus, can you also name 3 non-cities that do have universities?
Northampton, Reading and Ipswich.
And that's our bonus word of the day! And it's where you'll be spending an all-expenses-paid weekend trip to Ipswich with your mother, brought to you by the town of Ipswich.
In an admittedly nowhere near as common as the other two, but we're going to deal with it anyway, misconception, just because you're at Mare doesn't mean the thing you're at Mayor of is a city.
For 2 examples, Ramji
Why
Charan
does he
is
say
the
it like
old-timey
that?
ceremonial red robe and gold chain Lord Mayor of Harrow, which is a dull suburban borough, not a city, and Oliver Coppard is the democratically elected Metro Mayor of South Yorkshire, a massive political region comprising mostly countryside, which is even more not a city.
The term mayor in Britain is almost as confusing, useless and vague as city itself.
So then, what is the answer? What decides
Using useless
Person in charge of a city or town or borough or region, and not necessarily actually in charge. Sometimes has actual power, sometimes just ceremonial, sometimes elected, sometimes not elected. What is that definition? You might as well just put mayor, a fancy title. That's enough of a definition. It's better than whatever the hell this is supposed to be.
and vague as city itself.
So then, what is the answer? What decides whether a place makes the official British list of cities?
The surprisingly simple answer is the king. In a tradition going back to the 10th century, city status in Britain is granted by personal command of the sovereign and conferred by letters patent.
Do you know
You
what that
serious?
I do. Not.
Wait, so the king just decides, or queen, since England had a queen for a very long time, yeah, she's dead now, even though, honestly, I thought she was immortal. Anyway.
means? The long version is this, and the short version is every city on the official list has been put there by the monarch. It's as simple as that. On the list, city. Not on the list, not a city.
So why then do so many people think it's about cathedrals?
Because it used to be. In the olden days, all settlements by today's standards
So
were
they're
rather small.
technically not
With Britain's
wrong.
population being overwhelmingly rural, cities weren't considered important if they were big, but if they were powerful.
Back then, power came from the church.
From the
Big
church,
cathedrals
yeah.
such as Wells, Ely and St Albans, which oversaw large chunks of the surrounding countryside, made the settlements they were in important settlements.
And so, the then monarch awarded these places city status, which they retain to this day.
But what about all those cities with city status that don't have cathedrals? When did the monarch start awarding city status to them, and why?
in the 19th century, and because the arrival of the Industrial Revolution caused some towns to turn into manufacturing powerhouses and go through smoky growth spurts.
By the 1850s, the little town of Birmingham was now bursting with factory workers and had outgrown the nearby cities of Lichfield and Leicester. The citizens insisted that the synod-slanted system that saw sensible cities for several consecutive centuries suddenly seemed silly.
Well done.
And demanded that their town be given the city status it deserved.
So the Prime Minister, Lord Salisbury, decided the time had come to change
Yeah,
the
this
rules.
system of just the king deciding what is a city and what isn't is
Reinvented the meaning
kind of
city.
stupid.
Incidentally, that's the same Lord
makes no
Salisbury
sense.
who, at the same time, reinvented the meaning of the word county.
In 1889, Birmingham's size and industrial importance was officially acknowledged when it became the first place without an Anglican cathedral to gain city status.
Confusingly, Birmingham's church turned into a cathedral later in 1905, but for an explanation of how that works, ask a priest.
Father, what's the difference between a church and a cathedral?
What is the difference?
Something to do with bishops?
Birmingham was quickly followed by cathedral-free Sheffield, Bradford, Hull, Nottingham, and a slow trickle of other godless heathen towns that had recently become large, joining throughout the 20th century. The list was gradually starting to make more and more sense.
Until 1994, when a completely good run of sensible cityings was ruined by the tiny Welsh village of St David's for no good reason.
Apparently, the Queen just liked
What
it.
was the point?
The thing that makes this otherwise logical list illogical is
So
these
the Queen
pesky
just liked
small
it?
cities that ruin it
Like
and
I said,
stop
a
big one.
stupid system.
So can a place lose its city status if it doesn't deserve it anymore?
I mean, technically, the monarch, if they can say this is a city, they could also say this is not a city anymore.
Literally all you need
Let's
to
see
survive.
if that's actually true or not.
In 1998, Little Rochester in Kent, which had been a city since 1211, merged its local council with its neighbours to form the modern unitary authority of Medway.
What they didn't realise was doing this effectively removed Rochester from the official list of British cities.
Oh,
The new Council of Medway could have retained city status simply by filling in a bit of paperwork, but they forgot, making
What's the
Port
point?
Rochester the only place in the UK ever to lose its city status.
Luckily, the Rochesterians didn't have to wait very long for a chance to put things right. The year 2000 was the roundest date in the calendar in living memory, even for trees. The government celebrated this milestone with a big blancmange, a bicycle wheel, and the announcement of a bidding round for city status.
3 new cities were to join the list, and for the first time ever, any town with ambitions to become a city could apply to be one, and size did not matter.
The criteria they were looking for were notable features, historic features, royal features,
Remember,
and
size
a
doesn't
forward-looking
matter.
attitude.
And so, lots of towns submitted bids, each having to provide a 25-page pamphlet and lots of photos explaining why they were worthy.
The hot favourite to
God.
win was Reading, the largest town in England with a fast-growing tech sector. It boldly ticked all these boxes.
And the winners of Millennium City Status 2000
Let me guess,
are
it doesn't get it?
Inverness, Brighton and Hove, and Wolverhampton.
The national bidding for city status frenzy was so much fun, the government decided to make it a semi-regular thing every time the Queen had a party.
Newport, Newry, Preston, Stirling, and Lisbon.
Lisbon?
Lisburn.
Oh, Lisburn.
Chelmsford, Perth, and St Asaph.
St Asaph?
Wales ran out of big towns.
Bangor, Colchester, Doncaster, Dunfermline, Milton Keynes, Wrexham, and Southend.
And that brings us to today's grand total of 76 cities. 8 in Scotland, 7 in Wales, 6 in Northern Ireland, and 55
when was this
in
video made? August 2023. I wonder if there's any more cities since then.
The question we need to ask
Other than why did the Queen hate Reading so much?
is why bother bidding? Submitting a bid is an expensive business, with tens of thousands of pounds being spent on printer ink alone. So what are the advantages of being a city instead of a town?
Extra government funding?
Nope.
Extra local powers?
No?
Extra promotion for tourism?
Who was that?
Sorry, typo. The
So what,
Queen
is it
has
just a
eliminated
title?
City status. That's a very good word for it because that's literally all it is.
And that's why every town that bids has a different justification for why their bid was bother-worthy.
What?
Preston said gaining city status in 2002 put them on the map, even though our research has shown that Preston was already on most maps.
Perth claimed that in the decade since becoming a
Oh my god, so it's basically just clout. It's just to make you more known? Really? God, that's so
2012, its
stupid.
economy grew 12%, which would be impressive if it weren't for nearby Dundee also growing by about 12%.
Towns don't even need to win
There you
to
go.
benefit from bidding.
The city
Parish
status
Council
means
of
nothing.
Ion in Cornwall submitted a no-hoper underdog bid without their bosses in Cornwall ever knowing about it. They were quickly disqualified, but not before the subsequent publicity resulted in a mini boost in tourism.
The people who seem to get the most tangible benefit from the bidding process are the government themselves. Awarding city status to an unsung town is a way to appear to show support for it and get some positive PR without having to commit any time or money.
But is this okay? Is it right that the government of the day gets to mess with
Easy
the dictionary
vote.
definition of a geographical word? Is it perhaps time we dropped this nonsense of a system and replaced it with something more meaningful?
Yes.
Nah. The government has 8,007 more important things to worry about than what the meaning of city is. Once those have been sorted, yes, we might look at redefining the definition, and even then, we probably shouldn't.
There's
After
some
all,
funny.
vague-
There's some funny things there. Invade Canada. Yeah, that's gonna
archaic,
go well.
mostly harmless tradition fraught with pomp and ceremony and mawkish self-aggrandizing with a bit of royalty thrown in is about the most British thing imaginable and would never happen in a boring, sensible country like Germany.
Regular rounds of royal city statusing look set to be with us for many jubilees to come.
So, if you want
I
your
wouldn't
town
really
to
call the
become a
Germans
city, just sit
sensible.
tight and wait, and rest assured that at this rate, every corner of the
Given
country will
some of
become
the
a city
recent
by
things
the year
they've done.
3000.
And the winner is Newport Packet Services on the M1.
Except Reading.
Reading will never get city status. It will forever be a meme. Yeah, I mean the title is correct. Why British cities make no sense, and yeah, they just don't. It's complete nonsense, really. Just having the king or queen decide if something is a city or not. It's a very dumb system, which is probably why no other country in the world has this type of system. At least I don't think so. They would have probably mentioned it if there was at least one more country which used this type of system. And of course, it has to be the British who have this completely nonsensical system. Because the British just have to be different. So, yeah, good video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, comment, all the usual YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.